Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. If you've been watching this channel any length of time, you've probably picked up on the fact that I am pretty up on foreign affairs. There are very, very few things that surprise me in that realm. I have to admit today's headlines did surprise me. I did not see John Bolton raising an ethical objection to anything, really, but certainly not to the Trump administration's actions. I didn't see that coming. But if we are to believe the headlines, which at first I did not, I thought it was satire when I first saw them. And then I checked to make sure nobody had spiked my drink, and then I came here to John Bolton's closet. But if we are to believe the headlines, John Bolton sent out word that he had nothing to do with what he classified as, quote, a drug deal that the Trump administration was cooking up. He had nothing to do with it, which is a funny phrase for him to use given the fact that as Assistant Attorney General during the 80s, he ran interference and tried to make sure that nobody knew about the Iran-Contra affair, which means, he covered up literal drug deals. This is a man who said that his happiest moment in his professional career was getting the U.S. out of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, because this is a man that does not want U.S. war criminals to be held to account. And that makes sense. I mean, because he would probably end up there. In 2001, he derailed a conference that was designed to stop the spread of weapons of mass destruction. And then shortly thereafter, used the spread of weapons of mass destruction as a pretext to invade a country. Yeah. He's been accused of blackmailing the chief of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. The allegation is that he actually threatened the man's children. Now, with all of this information, it's easy to write people like Bolton off as psychopaths, sociopaths, whatever. See, that's not it, though. It's scarier than that. They're true believers. Bolton is a true believer. He truly believes that what he does protects the American way of life. Believes that he's that thin pinstripe line between democracy and whatever. True believers are the most dangerous people on the planet. They can rationalize and justify anything. That's how he can have a resume like this and still sleep soundly. With that information, we're left with three options, assuming this testimony is true. The first is that Bolton grew a conscience while working for the Trump administration. That seems pretty unlikely. The second is that the Trump administration was engaged in something so shady that John Bolton, a guy who was the architect of a war who killed like 500,000 people, well, that was just a line he wouldn't cross. Seems pretty unlikely. Or whatever they were doing truly jeopardized national security and the American way of life. Those are the options. I definitely think the third is probably most likely. Now that that's been said, I would like to point out that Bolton is a horrible actor on the international stage. He should have nothing to do with American foreign policy, period, ever. So even if he becomes the man who brought down Trump, we need to make sure we don't turn him into a hero. At the end of the day, he knew about it, and he didn't come forward. Whatever this transgression was that even registered in John Bolton's mind is wrong, he didn't come forward about it. He kept it quiet. Even in his most noble act, deceit was at its core. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.